everybody. Good morning, and welcome to another fabulous episode of Finances and Fiancés. I am your host, Serene Nunes, your faith based certified financial coach. And what I do is I help God's people, or people of great faith, to gain the right money management skills so they can end poverty in their lives and start walking in the financial plan that God has for their life, because everything that affects your money isn't about money. I do that all day long. But on Saturdays, I dedicate my Saturday mornings to this wonderful broadcast I created, well, God had me create, called Finances and Fiancés, where it's literally preparing your marriage for money. So in this episode, I'm going to be talking about struggle love and struggle money. The struggle love equals struggle money. I'm going to put that in my thing. The struggle love equals struggle money. Because that's not what I wanted to show. I love this. Equal. Because this came about from a post I posted on my Instagram. So if you're watching for the first time, please like and subscribe to my channel. Also in my bio is the links that you can click on to follow me on social media. So I'm going to talk about the struggle love equals struggle money, right? And I'm going to pull excerpts from my own life and tell you how I got over struggle love, because I just refuse to do it. I don't know if it's because I'm older or just because I'm tired of it. But if I can save someone else from doing struggle love and struggle money, then I'm good for it. But this came from a post. And what happened was because sometimes when you got to find topics to talk about when it comes to money, I went onto this group, and in this group, this young lady posted, and I just kind of took her post and put it out there. And um, here we go. Hey, Benita, thanks. That's right. It's afternoon on the East Coast. Thanks for watching. So this was the post that I posted on my social media and was talking about, and then I'll tell you what happened. Okay. My boyfriend and I have been together for almost 4 years. We have a child together and he wants to get married, but I have some reservations. I am a major breadwinner and we want to buy a house, except I'm the only one that has the coming up. I'm the only one that is coming up with a down payment because he can barely make ends meet. Would you get a house in both your names if he comes up with the money, or would it be better if I got it in my name and didn't allow him to put money down? I have the entire down payment plus money for renovations. He's barely got 1K. He's extremely offended since his plan is to marry me, but he doesn't make enough for this to happen. She asked, "What would you do?" That was her column, right? And I read that, and I posted it. This is called what we call struggle love. Now, if this was my daughter, I would tell her, buy the house, don't put his name on it, and move on. Because the house is ultimately for you and your child. But here's the thing. They've been together, and let's break this down. They were together for 4 years. They've been together almost 4 years. She is the major breadwinner in the family, right? She wants to buy a house. He's okay with that. But he can merely, I'm assuming based on this article or this note, she can barely make ends meet. He himself can barely make ends meet, right? And she's asking this question: would you put the house in both your names or just yourself? She got all the money she needs for her house. He doesn't. No, I would not put that house in his name and mine. I will put the house only in my name, because he's shown over the years, while he wants to marry her, he hasn't shown, according to her, that he is a man that can, you know, provide. Because if she has the majority of the money for her down payment for her home and he doesn't, it's kind of like, well, I'm gonna put your name on it. Keep your 1,000 and we'll go from there. You can stay in my home, but you're not going to be on the deed to my home, because that kind of makes you responsible. And since you're already showing not responsibility enough, I don't think you're going to be responsible for this. So good luck. I hope she doesn't put his name on it. But I say that to say there's this thing out here. And so when I posted this post, a friend of mine, and he was once one of my clients, talked about how struggle love, right? Right. And here's the thing about that. I'll go back to the article. If you have to ask for advice for it, you already know the answer. You just want other people to confirm what you already know. After, I mean, if I read that and posted that, and that was my friend telling me that, I think I'll be telling her, you must be crazy if you think you're gonna put a full house in somebody's name. But that's just me, right? So, but there's this thing called struggle love, right? And I have to admit, and again, I had somebody who posted on this post and said they was not going to teach their daughters and sons how to do struggle love anymore. They're going to teach them to level up financially, and then their dating, or no, when they're partner, they're going to level up. And I'm thinking to myself, struggle love. Does struggle love equal struggle money, meaning that you're struggling? And it was like almost every relationship I've had resulted in struggle love, right? And which made struggle money, right? That was a part of it. It was a huge part of it. But then then I was like, okay, Holy Ghost, where did I learn this behavior? And I literally learned this behavior through my own parents and my aunts and my cousins. I watched them struggle, with their men financially in every aspect. I'll give you an example. I know someone who was in this situation. Husband barely worked, got married, barely worked, bought this person barely worked. I mean, I literally witnessed this. He barely worked. He sat on the couch all day long. They bought a house together. She had all the money, all the down payment. She pulled from her 401k plan. She did everything. And this man did absolutely nothing because when it was time for them to close the house, I remember the man coming to, hey, Pam, I remember the man coming to me, and I knew the man. I ain't gonna tell you who it was. Maybe one day I will. But the man came to me and asked me for 2K to help them with the down payment at the closing. And fortunately, they didn't need it. But the fact that this man came to me and asked me for the down payment to help with the closing costs or whatever, how it works, with $2,000 when this man don't even work a job. And I mean, he sat literally in this house as king of the roost, literally. And everybody in the whole house paid all the bills, literally. We paid all the bills while this person sat on the couch doing his thing. And I use that in air quotes very lightly, doing his thing. And well, the person is dead, so I could talk about it because he was my father. I could talk about it. My daughter, like, what is that? But it's other parties that are alive, so I can't always say the other parties. But the people, they watch it, they watch it. It's true, it's true. It's not, it's not. Yeah, whatever. So he did anyway. So, so he sat on the couch like the king of the roost, and we all paid the bills. Like his wife, everybody who else lived in the house, we all paid the bills. Now, don't misunderstand me. The man worked from time to time, but not like held down a job every day. Like we all went to work every day, and we would go to work and come home, and the man would be right where I left him when I left that morning. He'd be right there on the couch. He wasn't my husband; it was somebody else's husband. But the point being is that's struggle love, right? You're staying in a relationship, although it's not working for you financially. It's not even working you financially, but yet we convince ourselves that we are in love and that we're going to work this thing out. I've witnessed my aunts go to jail to see their men and come home crying because the man done cheated on them in jail with another woman. And, and they have this, I'm going to stand by my man attitude, even when he got me crying from the jail cell. I mean, and to be honest, if I had to be perfectly honest, I did the same thing too, because that was what I was taught. I was taught this struggle love. I was taught, and then there was a financial component to that as well, because they weren't not upholding their end of the bargain. And when I say their end of the financial bargain in this world, because they weren't holding up their financial end of the bargain, then we got financial issues. We couldn't move forward in things. I mean, there's this thing called God's grace, and I'm thankful for God's grace because a lot of things were God's grace that we didn't. Like I didn't buy a house with my kid's father when I had the opportunity to. I've had plenty of opportunities to buy a house when I was back in New Jersey, and with my kid's father and all this other stuff, and did not go through with it. It fell through. I had plenty of time because I was our story was interesting because I was the one who took care of the home because I worked and took care of the home. He came in and he gave me money when I needed it, but he wouldn't, like, his paycheck didn't go in my home, if that makes sense. He helped pay for things with the kids, but his paycheck didn't help pay my rent. His paycheck didn't help pay for the light and gas bill. His paycheck didn't do all of that. Right. And that's my fault. Right. And the reason why I say I put that on me is because I accepted that level of behavior. I put up with it. I didn't demand more. But the reality was the struggle, love that I see every woman in my family, almost every woman in my family go through was a quick result of they didn't know who they are and what they were worth. And they did not understand how to have that conversation with them about themselves, about money and their worth. So they struggled in love, and eventually they struggled financially. Right. This woman in this post I just read about, she has all the right moves, right? She works, she's the major breadwinner. She saved enough money to pay her down payment for her first home. She's doing everything right, the way according to the rules, right? To buy a home, so forth and so on. But she wants to drag someone, she's contemplating dragging someone into her promise that don't want to be there. Because to me, if they wanted to be in the promise, they would be either they would there are three options you can do. You can either excel her or be at her level, or you can be beneath her, right? And this guy doesn't he's not even in the race. And when I say beneath them, I'm talking about she may have saved part of the down payment, but he may have saved money to help pay for the wedding. You see what I'm saying? Right? He may have saved, right? And we don't know that, but that's what I'm talking about. He may not have saved the money for the down payment for the house, but he definitely may have saved the money for the down payment for the wedding, or help put the money together to pay for her wedding, or so forth and so on. Now, can that is to me not that's actually being equal. It's the money is going to the same, is going, they're putting their mother to God it. Um, they're putting their money together for a specific goal. She for the house, he for the wedding. But the way she's describing it in that post, it's like she's saying he ain't got no money. That's struggle love. They're not even on the same page compatibly. Benita says, I was the same way. I was getting a house for Darren, his dad, and myself. Thank God I didn't go through because he decided not to be in Darren's life. See, that's what I'm saying. If he wasn't compatible enough to say, you know, compatible enough to say, well, yeah, hey, you beautiful. You save for this down payment. I love you. How about I help save to help pay for this wedding? Because I really do want to marry you. Like, where's his progress? See, because at some point in time when she got with him like we most do, because we fell in love with their potential. We saw the greatness in them. For me, I know that was. I like for the other people, I don't know. But for me, I thought I saw their greatness. I thought I saw their potential. I saw their potential. I saw what they could have been. But the reality was they were not ready to live in the potential that they had inside of them, simply because they didn't progress through. I'll say that again. That was a tongue twister. I saw their potential, right? But they didn't grow in progress because they didn't want to follow through. There was no follow through. You didn't see it. It was not evident. We don't date or get men because of, or women, and I'll say for women too as well. We don't get men and women based on their potential. We get men and women based on their progress. What are they doing today? Are their actions demonstrated by the words that are coming out of their mouth? But yet and still we've come from, and I'm speaking to Black women, I'm speaking to me specifically, that we come from this mentality that we got to stand by a man or woman. We got to drag somebody from the gutter and bring them up to the penthouse, and they really don't want to be in the penthouse. They rather be in the gutter, but because they rather be in the gutter than be in the penthouse, because the gutter is what's familiar to them. And this is no diss about standing by your man, but at what point do you how should I say this? At what point do we don't struggle in love and in finances with our potential partner. And how do we spot these red flags, right? So we spot these red flags. How to spot these red flags? We spot these red flags in us. That's where we start, because we attract, literally, life and death are the words. Life and death, the power of life and death lie in our tongue, right? Here's the thing: we attract the same spirit, right? If that is the case, right? I was talking about, who was I talking this to? Um, I was talking to a young lady on Sunday, and we were talking about manipulation and control, right? When someone has a spirit of manipulation and control, they talk to the spirit of manipulation and control inside of you. And that's how you get manipulated and controlled by other people, right? But when you carry the spirit of God, the manipulation and control can talk, but it can't breach the barrier, because your spirit is now in tune with God. And so it'll be like, oh, I know what you are. I know what you're doing. You're the spirit of manipulation and control. But the word of God says, I'm not to bow to manipulation and control. I'm to bow down. I bow down before the Reverend God, so I can stand up to manipulation and control. So it's a spiritual realm thing, right? When we get into these things called struggle love, these relationships that struggle in love, like, they're like, it's one thing for him to have an idea, you have an idea, you both have the same idea, y'all come together and y'all build. That's not struggle love, because you're building with a purpose. You have a point to build. You're building legacy. You're building, when you get married, when we get married, ladies, we're going to marry men who are going to have purpose. And when they have purpose, they're going to have progress. And because they have progress, they're going to want to build with you, and they're going to want to build legacy, and they're going to want to build a future, because they understand that these things are not just for today, it's for tomorrow, and for generations that will never see, generation that will be blessed from the fruit of the seeds you planted today. That's how your marriage is to be. That's how our relationships. But we get stuck because our parents have taught us. My mother taught us to struggle in love. My aunts taught me to struggle in love. Every woman in my life taught me to struggle in love, which eventually ultimately struggled in finances, because we became the breadwinners while they did not. We didn't demand that they be the breadwinner. We didn't command them to be the bread. We didn't ask them to the breadwinner. We never, well, for me, I'll say me, I never spoke up and asked them to be the breadwinner. And so now, then, I end up being the breadwinner. I end up being the one to struggle. I was the end of one robbing Peter to pay Paul. I was the one that had to go in bankruptcy to save my apartment. I was the one that did that. No one else did that. No one else came to my rescue. He didn't certainly come to my rescue. I struggled in love, and I refuse to struggle in it anymore. And I refuse to struggle financially as well, because simply because if you're struggling in love, you're going to struggle with him financially, because he's not going to, if he's not living up his part as a provider. And these are the things, as a provider, he's not going to provide. It's just simple as that. My kid's father wasn't a great provider. If I needed something, there was a few times in life where he stepped up to the plate. And when I say he really stepped up to the plate, he really stepped to the plate, because he ended up paying for my kids' private school tuition. Our kids, not mine, our children's private school tuition for the 4 years that they were there. I didn't pay a dime, not once. He paid for the whole 4 years, which is a small drop in the bucket compared to the fact that your kids need your constant attention, time, and finances all of their life, right? So, no diss, but it is what it is. It was what it was, right? So, with that being said, I had to look at, back to my original point, I had to look at me when it came to struggle love. What was I doing that was attracting struggle love? And it was all my own inner issues about me, my self-esteem, my levels of my self-esteem, rejection, fear. I stayed in my relationship with my kid's father because, in all honesty, all the effort I poured into him, I really didn't want another woman to get the benefit of all the stuff I given him. Until one day, God was like, "You just got to let that go. It's over. You gotta let go. You there, he here, and I mean, you're here, he's there. It's not working. It's never going to work. You're not going back. So you might as well just end this now." And I ended it, and I'm glad I did. right? Because I was still in the moment of, in that moment of time frame, I was still in struggle love. He was a man who could not help me in any shape, form, or fashion financially, in no shape, form, or fashion, no way. And I'm here battling being unhoused with my family, with his children. You see what I'm saying? And he on the phone talking about, I love you, boo, you coming, and all this other stuff. And I was like, yeah, no. And God was like, yeah, no, you over, you done. Just tell him it's over. Go about your business. He gonna go about his life. You gonna live yours, because I got something better on the other side of this. And I did. And here I am now, right? That struggle, that I don't want that for my life. But at what point do we decide that we're going to start living for potential, stop living for potential, and start living for progress, and making sure that our actions and the actions of our lives and the words of our mouth and the actions of our lives line up together, right? When does that happen? When does that happen? When will we stop deciding that we don't want struggle love anymore? We want a love that is worth fighting for, not struggling through. Like, no, our husbands are not going to be perfect. Make no mistake, but they're going to be perfectly inclined for us. There's the difference. Our husbands are not going to be perfect because we are not perfect, and there's no perfect people but God Himself. But our husbands are going to be perfectly inclined to us, where this struggle love and this struggle money is not going to be it. I mean, there has to be more, I would think, more to this than just, you know, he, how do I want to say this? Holy Spirit, help me in doing this. Like, when we talk about struggle love, there has to be, when we talk about love, there shouldn't be a struggle, but it should be a fight. In other words, when I say a fight, meaning that you're fighting to make it better, you're fighting to grow, you're fighting to make sure it doesn't become stale and stagnant, you're fighting to make sure you guys are on the same page. But you have to go through a level of healing within your own self, so you don't find yourself going for the Ishmael who looks good, smells good, and but you're going to struggle somewhere, right? And miss out on the promise of God, right? And miss out on the love of, miss out on the great love that God has ordained for your life. I hope this is making sense to somebody, because it's making sense to me. Because I had to go through healing. I had to recognize that this is what it was. I had to give it a name and understand this was struggle love. And because I was sat in struggle love so much, that I was challenged always financially. So when I removed the struggle love out of the way, I was still challenged financially, but it was all on me now. It was my job to get myself together, to heal from the rejection, to heal from the emptiness, the loneliness, all those things that were eating at me, to get myself healed and become whole, so that when I do meet my husband, that struggle love, I'm going to recognize him as a provider, and he's going to be a provider, because God is not going to send me someone in my life that's not going to provide for me. In other words, he's going to be a man that I can rest in. Right now, when I say rest in, I'm not talking about, when I say rest and when I say provider, I'm talking about a provider of financial help, in addition to providing everything else. Right? He is a person who's going to provide financially as well as every area of my life. So he's going to provide for me emotionally. He's going to provide for me physically. He's going to provide his strength. He's going to provide his masculinity. He's going to provide his know-how. He's going to provide so many things in my life, including financially, where I don't have to lift a finger unless I choose to, right? Or I want to. It's by choice, not by I have to. The I have to live this life, or I have to do this life with him, is no longer. He will do it because by choice. He will do it because that's his, he understands that he will understand who I am, and I will understand who he is, right? And there will not be struggle life and struggle financially, right? Two, and I'm not telling anybody to look at a man solely for his wallet. I'm talking about look at him overallly. But first of all, before you start looking at him, you got to look at you and where you messing up at and where you messy and where if you're too clingy or you're too, too clingy or too independent or you can't rely on anybody, you can't trust anybody. We can't, you can't, this whole thing about submission to a man. But these are the things you do now before you even start to meet your husband. These are the areas you get together before you even decide if you're going to date. These are the areas you get together because what you're going to do, right? You can get healed, like, and get whole and then never end. But when you begin out to go out into this world and say you're deciding to date, and as a Christian, I'm not telling you to date or not, do you? It's only up to you, if you understand what dating is. But if you decide not to, here's the thing. I'm not going to even say that. But let me tell you this. If you're going to meet your husband, you're going to have to date him because you're going to get to know him. You still got to get to know him. I don't care what God promised you. If he promised you a husband if he promised you that he was going to hand deliver your husband to your door Christmas morning with a red bow around your neck, you are still going to have to get to know him. And you're still going to have to know how healed you really are. You're going to have to test. You're going to know how healed you really are. And if he can poke those buttons. What I wanted to do, I wanted to start it. One of the reasons I had started dating at one point is because I wanted to know how healed I really was. Right? Because we can run around and confess how healed we are. But trust me, when that situation comes up, it'll definitely test you how healed you really were. And when I did it, I realized I wasn't as healed as I thought I was. I needed more work. I needed to go back on the potter's wheel and allow God to do more work. Because when the test came, I failed. Right? I was I was in this, I wasn't in love. I love schmove, right? Wasn't, maybe a strong like, but it was such a struggle. The relationship had been such a struggle. I was like, I don't need this. I'm too old for this. This is not what I want in my life at this moment. So, but I realized in that moment in time, in that particular situation, that I was not as healed as I thought I was. Because if I allow someone into my space, that's part of a delusion, is when you think that you're whole, but you go out in the world and you interact with men, and then or and vice versa. If this is a man watching this and you interact with women, you're going to really find out how whole you really are. You're really going to find out if those red flags, you're going to sit there and see them and ignore them, or you're going to address them and walk away. Where your stamina is, where your integrity is, what you're willing to put up with. These are the things that even if you go through your past relationships, you may not always want to know what you want in a partner, but you definitely know what you don't want when you look back through your past relationships. If you don't want a partner who doesn't know how to contribute financially, then you have to be a person who says, I want a partner who knows how to contribute financially. And I mean fully contribute. Because there are a lot of women out there who are so financially independent that they really don't think they need a man. Okay, but they really want a man, but they don't need a man to provide them for them financially because they're so financially independent, right? But if you understand the role of a man, one of his roles is to provide. I like the fact to have a man to pay for everything for me. It's a really nice feeling. It's a really great feeling to know that when I need something, I don't have to go into my pocket and get it, because I can call somebody up and say, I need this. It's a nice feeling. And that's how, and well, I'll digress from that, but that's a nice feeling because I don't want to struggle in that. I've struggled enough by myself financially, right? By myself with my 5 kids. I don't want it anymore. So that is how you uncover the struggle love, and struggle money, by looking back at your own past relationships and seeing where you struggled at and what feelings led you to those decisions to entertain people in your life who brought struggle to you instead of making your life better. It was, for me, one of the things was fear that if he left me, I wasn't going to find nobody. That's a huge fear that a lot of women have. You've been with this guy for like the post I read, the young lady had been with the guy for 4 years. They have a baby. In that 4 years, he had given her plenty of evidence to show that he wasn't the one who was going to provide. She had to get up off her butt and did it. Not saying that he wasn't providing. He just wasn't making her ends meet. I don't know what that meant. But the reality is this. He wasn't providing enough to the point where she had to make a post on a public page to get advice. That says something. But she'd been with him for 4 years. She knew then he wasn't a provider, just like he know now. You understand what I'm saying? That's right. I'm not struggling with nobody anymore. I don't want to struggle, and not in those terms. I'm not going to abandon, right? So that is the point of this live, to identify and talk about struggle, love, and how to identify it in you. And then so you will be able to identify it in potential partners. If you are getting married, when you have conversations about money, because when you meet your potential husband, like I said, I don't care if God planned to gift wrap him to you with a Red Bull on Christmas morning, you still got to talk to the person. You still got to get to know them. You still got to have conversations with them. You still have to establish who's going to do what when you get engaged and in your marriage. Who's going to run the finances, or what are you bringing to the table? And not be like, well, I got this dream that I want to be a rap star. You 40 years old, dude. There's no rap star career for you. There's no rap career for you. Sorry, boo. That's not happening. You're too old for that. Oh, I dream, I want to have my own business, but you're still living at home in your mama's basement. That's potential. I'm just looking for somebody to believe in me. Yeah, I believe in you, but do you believe in yourself enough to see these dreams come to pass? And what was your goals 5 years ago as opposed to currently now? And what are you praying about now? What are you doing today that you're not doing yesterday? And how did you achieve your yesterday's goals? And what are you doing today to achieve your new goals? Stuff like that. But we don't vet people like that. We vet people when we date, or when, like I said, I tell you all the time, I'm going to tell you again, guys, you're going to have to talk to these people when they come into your life. I don't care. God said that's your husband. You still got to talk to him. And you still got to have conversations. But your conversation about money and struggle and this and that has to be from a position of wholeness from you first and from them. Now, I'm pretty sure my Father in heaven won't send me no junk. But what if God sent you somebody to struggle with financially? He checks all the boxes and God tells you that's your husband and he struggles financially. He may not make as much money as you. I don't think that's a struggle, right? He may be somewhat irresponsible financially. It depends on his willingness to learn. But I believe, I really hold dear to the fact that God is not going to send somebody to us that we have to really struggle with. You know what I mean? Like, really, truly being out here, you bossing up like a woman. I mean, you bossing up, and he home parlaying on the couch, talking about, baby, cook me a dinner, cook me a meal after you don't work all day. Oh no. I just thought about something somebody said to me. You know what I'm saying? I'm sorry, I just had a thought. But what that happens? You got to look at his progress. Is he living right? Is he? I heard this story. This guy was dating this woman, and what had happened was he had just lost the business that made over $500,000 a year. He just lost it, and so when he met this woman, he was dating this woman, and this woman married him. And the reason why they got married, well, one of the reasons why is because where he was not where he's going, right? When I look at my kid's father, right now. And I still talk to my kid's father. He is exactly where I left him 5 years ago, 10 years ago when I moved to California. He is exactly where I left him. There was no progress. He's full of potential, but no progress. He's exactly where I left him. There's no potential, no progress, but about a lot of potential. He's exactly where I left him. Moved on to other women, but he's exactly where I left him. Exactly where I left him. There was no change. Nothing happened when I left. Nothing, nothing, nothing. He worked jobs and he provided somewhat, but he's exactly where I'm left him. That's what I'm saying. So when this guy meets this girl, they get married. She married because she knew he had the potential to create another six-figure business, and he was progressing toward that deal. When they met, he was progressing toward that thing. And now this man has not only made one six-figure business, he's made two. You see what I'm saying? Progress. The difference. Progress. So I'm gonna end this live because that's all I gotta say. I mean, really, in all honesty, if you want to understand struggle love, look at yourself, because you are an equal partner in your own struggle love relationship. You are an equal partner in your own struggle financial, because you're the one who decided to put up with this because you loved him. And we got a kid together now, or we got kids together. I'm guilty of it. So I can't sit here and say, oh, I'm better than you because you're going through it now. I've been through it, so I understand that. My job now is to make sure I don't go through it again ever. And two, I'm too old to be going through it, because I don't want to struggle with somebody. I just don't want to do it. Not financially, not in any way. Not like that. I don't want to see your potential. I'm not interested in potential. I'm only interested in your promise. I mean, your progression. I'm only interested in your progression. Are you moving towards something? And just because you're older, like I am older now, I said, and just because we're older doesn't mean that we can't move in progression. There's still things I need to accomplish. I'm more alive now than I was 20 years ago. Like when I say I'm more alive now, meaning that I have more, I have a lot to accomplish, right? And 20 years ago, I was raising my daughter who's 20 now. I was still raising I'm raising her brother, her and her younger sister. Well, yeah, Sienna's 14, 14 years ago. I'm raising these children, right? So that's what I did. But now that they're halfway grown and out the door, halfway out the door, right? I am living, I'm moving in my progression now. I'm not living, I got the potential to do all of these things. No, I'm fully living out the progress. You can see daily, step by step, day by day, moment by moment, how I live in my progression. I am about progress. I said, I understand that we're in, and some of us may be older or whatever the case may be, whatever it is, but we're still moving in progress. I'm still moving. I don't retire because I'm not working the job. I still got a whole business to run. I am still moving in progress. And that is what I'm talking about. Though your husband is going to have progress. You're going to see his steps. He may have taken a stumble. There is such thing. You can stumble in relationship, but not struggle in them. You can fall down. You can, I think what Lanika Scott said, they went from making six figures to welfare. That's a stumble. And then they went right back to the top. Now she just had a whole house built and paid cash for it. You see what I'm saying? They were making six figures. They took a stumble, right? From that to welfare, took a stumble, but then came back and they came back on top now. That's what I'm talking about. This girl in this post that I read to you earlier, she is struggling. There's a difference between a stumble and a struggle. And we got to recognize where we are in our own life. Are we struggling in love? Like if you look at your past relationships, have they been love relationships, struggle, love, and you struggle financially, or were they stumbles and you got back on track, right? That's what I'm talking about. There's a difference. There's a huge difference between the two. So anybody got any questions for me? If you don't, I'm going to be out of here because I want to enjoy my Saturday day. I have a few things I want to take care of today because it's Saturday. in LA, and it's getting warmer again, and it's just a really like awesome day. So I hope this helped you in your and identify. So your first step is to always identify what's going on with you in struggle relationship. Why are you picking people who cause you to struggle in relationship? Why are you picking people who are not um standing up? What is the word I'm looking for? Is the word stand up? Is that the word? Who are not standing in their position in the relationship. That's word. And you're taking on responsibilities that are not your own. Why are you picking these people? What is it about you? And what is it about you before that you need to change? And those are the questions that you invite the Holy Spirit in to ask you. That you ask Holy Spirit, where, is there rejection I need to heal, Holy Spirit? Is there fear, anxiety, worrying, fears, abandonment, reject, all my issues are going on, these things that I have inside of me that are causing me to pick to connect with people who are, I admire their potential, but I don't see their progress. And I want to see progress, right? And you know, and once you get that level of healing, test the water to see how healed you are and see if you're going to pick a person. Will your healing allow you to be able to know, I don't want that for my life, and be okay with that and move on to the next person. Because I believe, like I said, even if God dropped your spouse on your doorstep, you're still going to have to talk to them. And you're still going to have to talk to them about money. You're still going to have to understand the difference between struggle and stumble. You're still going to have to see if this is this a person you want to stumble with, or is this a person you want to struggle with? Because there's some people I would rather stumble with, because I know they have it in them to get back up and dust themselves off. And I know people who just want to stay in the struggle and repeat the same cycles over and over again and not progress to anything or go anywhere. All right. So that's all I got for today. I thank you guys for watching. Like, subscribe to this channel. This is Channels for Finances and Fiancés. It's held every Saturday, where we just talk about, how to prepare your money for marriage, because this is exactly what is going on. We just saw we've been praying for the men to come back to the ecclesia, to God. There's going to be a matches made in heaven. There are going to be men coming back wanting to get married and get ready to get married. You need to be in position, and this is one of the ways you get in position. This is how you prepare for marriage. This is how you prepare your money for marriage, and how they're going to prepare their money for marriage, because the two become one, even in marriage. So I love you all. I will see you guys next Saturday, hopefully. If not, we'll figure it out. And and we're probably going to go back. I'll let y'all know what we're going to be talking about. And so I love you all, and I will see you guys next Saturday, 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Love you all. Talk with you soon. Bye.